Okay, folks, good morning. So, yesterday we did kind of a one-day build, a one-day build and a use on it because we built this ramp and really happy with the results. Ran a game with it too, worked well. Um, yeah, just made out of a doorstop, a big doorstop, but a doorstop. It's kind of the character, central character in the Gaslands race, the Gaslandish race, I should say. Should start calling it something else. It's not that it's a totally different game, but we're putting our own spin on it. But we need to sort this area here because it is like, it should take no time, but it's out of control. That's what happens when you just grab things and you don't put them back. So all painted with craft paint, by the way, too. Don't be dismissing craft paint. It's all right. It has its use. I even airbrushed with it. What, you airbrush craft paint? Yeah. Did it airbrush great? No, but it works. It's a lot easier to be like wasteful with craft paint. You're like, it doesn't cost so much. So I'm just gonna basically put all these things away. I don't know what I'm gonna work on. Probably tanks once I can find where my desk is. And that's gonna go over there. And I do want to do a couple billboards, but I'm not really in the place of being able to print them right now. So and we got extra parts here. This is garbage. This is how things get out of control. You just go from one thing to another and just move it aside. And then before you know it, you're backed into your own corner. But a lot of these things, these pieces of wood, shit, I've had them probably since the early 90s. And I was going to post some in progress pictures, but it just looked like ass what was in the project, because like every one of these colors, like say the wood right here. I mean, it's spray painted black. It has probably 6 colors on it. And it looks decent now, but along the way, I had a couple of moments where, I was like, man, you're not going to be happy with it. And I have to keep reminding yourself, trust the process. It'll be fine. Don't judge it on what it looks like this moment. And that's where experience comes in. It keeps you from getting discouraged. Okay. We're gonna need this hand here. But it did its job well. I didn't know what the ramp rules were when we started using it. We all read them together. They didn't make sense to any of us. We put our own spin on it. Worked great. So the days of having to follow a rule to the T, like a lemming, are gone. I'm not doing that anymore. We don't play tournaments type stuff where we have to play it exactly the way that everybody agrees to, even if it's a not as clear way. That's not to say I dislike the rules by any stretch of the imagination. Just sometimes we don't all use the English language the same way. All right. Got some stickum here. Toothpicks. But we had a pretty good game of Gaslands. We were supposed to have 6 people. We had 5. So that's 10 cars creating chaos. And sure enough, there was 3 times when somebody was in the lead and they didn't win. I'm actually going to go ahead and put my cars away too while I'm at it. Actually, I have a repair to do. Nothing big, but it is a repair. Good morning, man. You've been shoveling? I figured you'd be busy shoveling the sidewalk or something like that. You don't live in one of those places where you're responsible for the sidewalk, are you? I've heard about that. Like, you could be sued if you don't keep your sidewalk clean. I mean, obviously you live in an apartment building with lots of other people, so even if that were the case, you guys would have to take turns. Excuse you, Mr. Door. Should have set that actually a little bit of an angle so the door would swing away from you, not try to be level with it. Brutal cold this morning. Well, it's been, it's not a complaint, but I gotta believe that this year is the coldest it's been that I remember. Like, consistently days in a row. It's been cold. That doesn't mean I don't like it, but it's been very unusual. No sidewalk duty, just dog walks, which is bad enough. Yeah, you're walking fine, then you do like a slip or something like that. So not this weekend, but last weekend we went down to Busch Gardens. And it was so cold there, basically everything was shut down. Now, what that means is once it gets below freezing, coasters can't run. Because they rely on functions that involve, lubrication and stuff running right. And if they're, frozen, parts of them are not optimal, I'm not going to say somebody's going to get hurt, but you get a ride stuck, and that really will shut the ride down, so. But the animals weren't out either. It was fine. We still had a good time. But I wore my snow boots the whole time. My freaking feet were cold. My feet were never cold. My feet were freezing. Because it was cold, windy, and moist. And the moist will just go right through you. That's why, 20 degrees here is colder than 20 degrees out west. Okay, flowering Fubuki, which got off to a head start yesterday and then wrecked. The game has a really good way of evening everybody out, keeping it competitive. This is actually the winner of the race yesterday. Toothy fucker. English translation, toothy fucker. So I think we are going to work on tanks once we get all this sorted out, which shouldn't take long. Go back to our snow tanks. I need to get off my ass and finally decide what 3D printed items I'm going to get. I haven't decided that yet. You have this idea, I'll get this and this and this and this, and I'm like, oh, I don't have that much of a credit, okay. And it's just so instead of getting a bunch of stuff like for a scenario, which I'm not really in a hurry to play a game. Not really in a hurry to play World War II. smells like dust. Can't be in here. Your sidewalks are bad enough with just New Yorkers on them. Now, how did this happen? I got space for one more, but no, I guess I'll have to put one down there. I don't remember one being down there. Hayabusa. Hayabusa was a trip. Of course, nobody knew what the hell a Hayabusa was that I played with. I'm like, dude, it's an Oscar, man. That's why I painted it like an Oscar. Okay, this is what we need to repair. The sign broke. It got in front of one of the other players, and I don't think that they weren't intentionally being clumsy, but shit happens. And you know, it's like they're having to reach over shit, and this thing sticks up, and well, you know the rest. Here's that little car. Okay, this is good. This is good. This is good. I was gonna film it, and then it didn't happen because the tripod was being a little bitch. And honestly, we didn't get that many views off the last video, so no point in killing yourself. This is away. I got back late yesterday, and I was like, oh, time to go to bed. Because I still gotta wake up early. Okay. And that goes there. Okay, this goes away over here. But we ran the ramp rules completely different than they say in the rule. We read the rules in the rule book, they didn't make sense. They didn't make sense like this is stupid. It's just we read them 3 times and it's like I don't understand what they're trying to get at. I understand some of the concepts, but not some of the other ones. So there's a lot of rules out there that just don't make any sense the way they're written. So, you're not playing a tournament game. Play it however the hell you want, you know? As long as you're applying them equally to everybody, as long as we all agree how they're going to be played, and you do it consistently, does it really matter? You know? I don't have to play the rules the way that they're designed. I'm not promoting the rules. You know? I'm not saying they suck either. I'm just saying that, you know, I'm not the rules, bitch. All right. We have Soviet stuff. Let's go ahead and get, this is a bag of what? Okay, this is my gas lamp stuff, all right. Let's get all this sorted together. Where's my bag of bags? I have a bag that all it has is bags in it. There it is. The bag of bags. Which snow tanks you working on? The Panzer IIIs? Yeah, the Panzer IIIs. The Panzer 3Ls by Matchbox. Let's put all this Soviet stuff in there and put this back in the Soviet bag. This, Oh, that's heavy. It's like it's white metal. Ow. This is castings, but they're for the Soviets. Soviets. I hate these little, like, these, the little toe things, because they're just not easy to deal with. You know, when I encounter shit that involves, modeling, and I'm like, man, this is difficult to work with. I've been at this a while. There's a lot of people that are finding it also not easy to work with. Okay, this is German shit. Yep. I don't know why it's here, but. And then this is German shit too. Okay, now we're at a reasonable level. The Russians need to go in the Russians. That way you can find it easily when you need it. And that's how it should work. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I probably should make something gas lamps out of it, considering I have 3 of them. Of course, I have to modify it significantly. I think the next race we're going to do is, I don't have any of these figures standing up, but this cantina, I always joke about it. It's full of people that are heavily armed, intoxicated. Just think of like bikers on meth. Well, bikers are already on meth. I don't know. Well, these bikers weren't on them. And anybody who comes in their zone of control is going to get shot at. Because this was literally the cars were driving around it. I don't think anybody actually hit it, but they really were avoiding it like the plague. Okay, this can go in this box. There's the construction stuff, and I need a box for the one for the Germans. What is this? This is. Yeah, I'm really disappointed. I guess I should have done a better job of it, of checking all the parts before I got started. But that Opel Blitz had the gear on it. The underneath gear was broken. So I built it out of wood, and I was so proud of myself, and then I didn't realize it was missing half a cab. Well, I'll probably run across another Opel Blitz at one point and continue building it. But I was like, man, that was really empowering, basically taking something that was not usable and making it usable. I decided not to go to the model show yesterday. I think that was a wise choice. That made me get the ramp done. And we used it. And I got lots of stuff that I haven't finished yet. That I'm more than happy to finish. It's just not like, man, all I got is stuff I don't want to work on. That's totally not the case. All right. Boxes for this. I'm not going to worry about it. And this goes in this thing. Okay. So this sign broke. No big deal. And I've never glued this in place. It didn't break. It broke where it was glued. So that's not a problem. And that's the problem with using super glue, is it is just really brittle. I should be able to find. Yeah, it's just like that. All right. I don't have any fast super glue, right? The only one I have that's fastish is this one. I had to get away from getting the Loctite one that comes in a normal container, because this type of container that for that type of glue only has 4 grams. So whatever's in here, there's a lot of plastic and stuff to make it easy to squeeze out. 4 grams. And it's the same price as this one, which is 20 grams. Now, it has its problems, but 4 grams I'll go through in no time. And it's relatively expensive. It's expensive for what it is. Maybe we'll make a different type of sign for this. I have a couple billboards that just have to print out and then mount them on signs, just for ambiance. Yeah, we'll put that in afterwards. All right, and this should be able to hold itself up like so. And I have another one of these things to do. I'm using this. I don't know what this is going to be, but maybe a whorehouse. I don't know. Hey, these are bad folks, man. These are not good examples for your children. We promote Gaslands, but not the people that drive in them. Oh, this is the bits with the German stuff. Okay. All right, let's bring on the Panzer IIIs. That one's complete-ish, and that one's getting there. We have another 2. We're going to ditch this. We don't want to paint on this. I want to cut on it, but I don't want to paint on it. Makes it too difficult to find things on your desk. If you got, I know you're not working on stuff that has shit all over it. You know, I mean, I don't mind having this, but I don't want this permanently on my desk. You know, it's bad enough. You still end up getting little bits of paint and stuff. Being as careful. We're not going to do a deep clean today. Okay, this is the one that has the black wash done to it. Okay, we're going to do the black wash on this one now. And there's I want to say this is from the Panzerjäger 4 from Eschi. This bolt of cloth or something like that that's all tied together. So I may paint that like the swastika flag. You know, in other words, making it red. Of course, it won't have a crooked spider on it because it's all folded in there. All right. Let's get a new one of these. We have plenty of them. Dark tone. So the other day, I was looking through some footage, or I was on the Google Mobile, looking over that area during in Russia that I did the video on, and then of course I stumbled across what I wanted to show you guys that I couldn't find the other day, and that's because it wasn't where it was supposed to be. It wasn't where I remembered it being, but it's not a big deal. It just showed a Balka and kind of what it looked like. And now, you could hide a tank in it, but I don't know that you can hide that many tanks in it because it depends on the depth and everything. Now, this works, but it's a little too high, and I keep bumping it when I'm doing it. So we're gonna live life on the edge and do this without having this protection right here. It'll come off with hand sanitizer, but it's not that big of a deal. Just force a habit. I ran out of the thin cardboard I normally use, so I had to resort to, boxes, which are in abundance of, but it's pretty slick. No, it wasn't Vernikumsky. It was outside of. And the reason I found it is I was listening to the Prit Butar's book, and he mentioned an attack before Vernikumsky, and it was another Verni. It's before you get to Vernikumsky. Let's find that river. Okay, there's Kotelnikovo. Okay, Verny Oblochniki or something. Oblochny. It's like due north of Kotelnikovo. There's two roads that lead out of Kotelnikovo. One of them goes almost due north, and the other one goes towards Oktyabrysky. So it's the one that's due north. Put it on satellite. And it was because it was talking about the German tanks instead of continuing to push north at the beginning, they got stuck in a swamp east of this town. So I'm like, oh, let me find where this swamp is. And this is kind of like what it looks like now. But you can do the Google Mobile. Let's see which one of these it is on. Which one of these is it on the phone? I think this you just press it down. And I remember seeing it because I remember seeing the bus stop. Now, obviously, this is in modern day, a bus stop there in Russia, right? And I'm like, oh, that looks familiar. Here's kind of the little town. And if you go back to where the crossing is over this river, this is the river. And this is, what river is this? I don't think this is the Oxay. It's not. It's a river before the Oxay. Let's see. Let's make this big. There we go. And I remember seeing that, and that's one of the things I wanted to show you. I just thought it was up on the on the more northern river, and it wasn't. It was on this one because I was looking for that swamp. And the other side, this is in October 2014, so it'd be a little bit more brown there than it is there. Basically no water on that side. And there's a bulk that I came across here. The Google Mobile went down this road. Yeah, here's one. So, it looks like they might be 8 feet deep, or these are 8 feet deep, or something like that. Great for infantry. I mean, infantry could like hang out here, and like if somebody comes up to them, they're like in their face, and they're going to open fire on them, and they wouldn't be able to be seen at a distance. And there's really nothing out here where they can really get like some kind of a, because they talk about all of these hills where they can like fire on anybody. I'm like, well, here's kind of like a hill on the road, but does it really give you that much of a distance? I don't know. It's flat, pretty much flat. It's as flat as Florida. It's Florida flat. That's north of Verkny Abolochny. Yeah. Verkny Ablochny. Verkny Ablochny. Now, one guy named Verkny, man, he had a Woody. Everything they named everything Adam. But that was the only thing, near there. Of course, it's really close to the Don. The Don, I'm sure, looked totally different back then. It's wide as shit. This is like a freaking lake. They must have put a dam in here and it flooded out. I doubt it was, it's basically a lake because the Don continues out north and it also continues south. And here you have like a lake, which I'm sure was not there that way. I mean, it might have been wide, but, it's like, I'm sure there's a dam here at the top and one at the bottom. Yep, there's the dam. So, yeah, the Russians are like fucking beavers, man. They'll go like build a dam and then like, oh shit, we didn't know it was gonna have these consequences. Hey, there's this big lake. Let's take water out of it, and the Aral Sea dries out. Shit like that. Communists care about the environment even less than capitalists. Yeah, that flooded area is probably, I'm gonna guess 4 times bigger than it was, maybe even bigger than that. I don't know. I'm spitballing here, but you know. So if you had to do a bulk on the tabletop, and you got to raise everything like a half inch or something like that, or an inch or 2 inches, everything, and then have it drop in other areas. That's doable. A bulk of fight, you know. But I was looking at some scenarios in my Epson book because I wanted to get some Churchills. And a couple of them were pretty small scale. But a couple of them involve 3 Churchills with 3 infantry squads. I'm like, that's perfect because a Churchill, you could hide a whole squad behind a Churchill. Use magazines under my battle cloth for things like that. What's a magazine? I don't have any. Books, anything like that would probably work too. That's true. Man, they'd be heavy. But that's probably better because I don't have to get this foam and figure out where the hell to put it. There's tons of excess foam from work, at work. Tons. So that's not an issue. Maybe finding some that are clean enough to bring into your house might be an issue. They get concrete and shit on it. I don't want to turn into one of those pack rat people. Hoarders. I'm ways away from being a hoarder. I'm obviously on the wrong track for being that. I there is this one person that I know that no, they're not a gamer, but their mother is an older person with an older mother, and the mother was a hoarder to the point where she didn't throw away a single plastic container. So like if you bought like cottage cheese containers, which I go through a lot of that, but I keep the lids and then we get rid of them. We don't just hoard on to the top and the bottom, with the fucking marketing and stuff. I can't handle names of things on shit. It's like it's distracting. After you've consumed the product, I don't want to see I don't want to see your advertising. But she had apparently kept everything that she had for decades. So just imagine like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of plastic containers. So I think I talk about with you about how you've not had money before, and you like try not to be wasteful because you still have that stuck in your psyche. That's like an extreme, you know. When the stuff you have starts affecting the quality of your life, that's no bueno. Yeah, I had every intention of filming yesterday, and then it was impossible to get the tripod in a place where somebody wasn't in its field of view because, Mitch's room isn't necessarily small, but it's like there's some places if somebody sits there, like you can't get around them, you know? So, well, I think it's that time. Let's go grab that. Let's go grab that first Coke. We're back to that shit again. Thanks, man. I just need to stop making videos, not care, or get a producer. Anyways, I don't know what I was saying. Oh yeah, the the ramp game yesterday. The guy who was the least experienced, who'd played with us before, probably 6 years ago, ended up winning it. But the game has a really good way of evening things out so that it looks like somebody's going to run away with a game, and they get cut down to size without necessarily doing crazy shit. It's not like, well, they were being reckless. That's what happened. I mean, there's a bit of recklessness to everything you're doing, and it's usually driving related. It's usually, I mean, yeah, there's people that get knocked out by somebody else, but if there's nobody on the track, if the guns did not have any, if the vehicles didn't have any weapons, it'd still be a deadly game. Just don't mute. Well, that's true. I really didn't need to mute it because the wife's in her room, locked up in her room. She's probably awake, surfing or something. But having the teams already pre-made, so I just sat down at one point about 2 o'clock, and I'm like, all right, I gotta wait on. I'd done something and I needed it to dry. I'm like, well, let me go, and we got to do the game anyway, so let me put the teams together. And we could potentially have had 6 players. We ended up having 5. So one of the teams didn't get used. But it's a fun game. It has a pretty good narrative. Almost the entire game takes part in the first third of the track, though. And like I said, if something doesn't make sense, we'll just play it a different way. It's not like we're going to run a tournament or give awards or run it in a con. But I did not go to the IPMS thing, and we got the ramp done. So that was the right thing to do, definitely. Yeah, and I'm pretty happy with it. When I was building it, looked like I was really happy, and then when I was painting it, it looked like I was not going to be happy with it. But you gotta trust the process. Even these rusty things, you know, they have probably 7 or 8 different coats of paint plus a wash, and it's just slow build of colors. You just go and you dry brush it. You put metal, like it doesn't look right, and you put rust on it. That doesn't look right. You change the color of the rust a little bit. That still didn't look right. And then you dry, you just gotta keep tinkering with it. Same thing with the wood. The wood is like these little wood slats or whatever. They probably have, I don't know, seven different colors of paint on them. And just like everything else, the first color takes forever to do, and each successive one takes less and less. And the good thing is it's like it's done. You don't have to paint it again. So one thing we haven't used at all is audience votes, and I think we're about ready to implement them. I don't know what difference it would have, but there's a lot of a lot of situations yesterday that came up that you just have to wait. They're just not covered in the. You're just not covered in the rule book. Stuff that as adults you can figure out. There's really nothing else you can do than play it a certain way. You vote Tony off the island. There's no voting in this game. We didn't play on the island. We played on the factory floor. Which honestly, the island is better, but it takes up a lot of space. Mitch's room. We're playing on his big table, which is 4x8. So technically, it's bigger than my table. It's mine's longer by like 10 inches, I think, something like that. But his is wider by 6 or something like that. But you can't get around his. Like you can get around the two sides, kind of, but the short side that's up against the wall, if somebody sits there, like you can't get by. So it doesn't lend itself really good to filming. And the camera was just being a little, the tripod was being a little bitch. I'm like, oh, no big deal. As much as I wanted to film it, and it would have had some interesting stuff to go down to it. It to go down that went down in the battle, but yeah, it's all good. Survivor. Survivor's always you never watched it. Like you have all these like skills, and at the end there's voting. Like okay, Survivor should be like okay, we got hidden cameras on this island. We'll be back in a month. There better be only one of you live, or we're gonna kill everybody. Right? 100 people on the island, and a month later there's only one left, and if there's two left, they'll both be killed. Now, well, we're gonna have a vote. You can't handle the voting. Was that the first reality show, or was technically The Real World the first reality show? Regardless, I never liked any of them. Yeah, I can't say I've watched a single episode of it. And one of the things that I really don't like about those reality type shows is they're telling a narrative, right? Something happened and it's filmed and you're watching it progress. And they're telling a narrative. They interrupt the narrative to show this interview with this person. Well, you know, I think that Hannah doesn't really have a good chance of doing this, so I'm going to try my hardest to do an alliance with somebody else. And then they cut to the other person. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, when did they film these things? Because it looks like it's all edited and it's all pasted in there and make it seem like you're watching it as it happens, and it's just bullshit. Like the bullshit is so thick. Like I don't want to see that. You know, I don't know. The very first, don't watch them. That would be like a show from 1975 still running in 2000. I don't know, 1975. Oh, 1975 is. Yeah, I guess it is. 2000's like, man, 2000's like the other day. No, no, it isn't. The Simpsons has been running forever, hasn't it? Is it still on? I mean, it's at least been running since like 96 or something like that. Not that I watched that. What's the longest running sitcom? Like 12 years or something like that? Problem with sitcoms is just run out of material. And they just get like shitty. Like, there's one sitcom I came across that I guess had been out for a while. I didn't come across it until it was done, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious. It was Community, but the last season is trash. Season 6 or something like that. Just absolute trash. But it doesn't have a laugh track, you know. Otherwise, it just turns into like a Disney show where like every single interjection between two characters, there's 12 or 14 people like chuckling every single time that anybody says anything. It's like, man, it's not even funny. It's not even meant to be funny. It's like one of those Disney shows where it's like, man, we got to keep having stimulation so people don't go off, and you're like, dude, man, you're giving people ADD, you know? And then you wonder why nobody can read a book. Yeah, you got this attention span where they have to constantly have this stimuli. Canned laughter. When you have something that's particularly not funny and there's this canned laughter, it's like, it's really hard to swallow. Maybe it's because they're not filmed in front of a studio audience. And this studio audience still gets told when to laugh at things, but there's a variety in the laugh. We still haven't painted the tracks. That's okay. There's still time. The train has not left the station. Okay, I think we're good with the hole there. Yeah, I didn't need to buy $10 tanks. I'm good. I was so excited this time last year as I'm like, oh man, I found so many cool deals. I'm gonna go to all these shows. I ended up going to 3 shows. I went to the one in Jacksonville, the one that was the same weekend that Recon was, so it was in April of last year. So I did one day at the convention in Orlando, and I cut across the state the width ways, which is the short way, and went to the show in Clearwater. That was a great show. Well, that was a great vendor. That's what I'm going for. I don't want to compete. I don't care. Maybe the Trump will bring back The Apprentice. I never watched it. I didn't think that many people watched that kind of stuff. Never watched it. Couldn't even tell you who was on it. Well, I've gotten really, and I'm not a conspiracy guy, I've gotten really distrustful of anything on the internet or TV. You know, here's a video of somebody's. I'm like, I just don't believe it. I mean, there's so many lies. It's turned into everything is turned into the boy who cried wolf. Oh, constantly. I'm like, I'm just tuning out. Like, I don't care. Even historical programming. I was watching this little clips of this history guy, and I don't know what this guy's name is, but he seems to be everywhere all of a sudden. He's some American historian. I don't know who he is. He reminds me of an actor. I don't know who the actor is that he reminds me of. But he's always on these videos, or they've at least been suggested to me constantly. World War II stuff. And the footage that he's describing is just totally like 180 degrees, like some wrong ass shit. I'm like, I'm out. It's like, I can't watch this. I don't know who this guy is, but he's all over the place. And I don't know who he reminds me of, but I was just flipping. I'm like, I'm not gonna watch that. And like whatever he has to say is like, look, you've got obviously completely wrong footage. Stay distrustful of everything on TV and the internet. Yeah, there's too many people that are just up to no good. Like, and there's too many zealots. They want to believe anything that that benefits them. Like, you know, one of the worst things you could do is be a liar because then nobody can trust you. You know. Well, we do that to make money. I said, well, maybe you need to find a more honest way to make money. You know. Did you manage to check out any of that? We have ways. No, I've been busy working on this, dude. You just sent it to me yesterday. We have ways. No, I did not. I didn't mean to dismiss it. It was just like, when would I have done that? I need to go back to taking my lunch with me to work. I've been coming home for lunch. So I don't have that sitting under a shade tree time to surf on the internet. And that's usually where I would do all of my watching. That's where I would go and memorize all the DBA Army list. Back when then this was just these things were just phones. You didn't have all kinds of stuff on them. Who's this historian? You guys probably know who he is. He's some new guy, or I've started seeing him newly. Let's see who. Well, let's see. If it came on my YouTube, I should be able to look at history. Unless shorts aren't on history. Let's see. Is it this guy? No. No. That was a video that I actually watched on the Tank Museum about Churchill. It's kind of interesting. View all. Unless it came on my Facebook reel feed. And he's not one of the ones on Little Wars, so we're not talking about that. I don't know who this guy is, but he's everywhere all of a sudden. He's some American guy. U.S. historian, World War II. This guy, Victor Davis Hanson. I don't know who he is, but he's everywhere all of a sudden. And I'm not saying he's full of crap, but he was in this one particular video, which maybe he's not responsible for it. But who does he fucking look like? He looks like somebody famous, and not him. He's everywhere all of a sudden. But the internet does shit like that. Like all of a sudden, like a year ago, who was that guy? Who was that philosophy guy from Canada? Was everywhere. That Peterson guy. That Peterson fucker was everywhere. I'm not even interested in any of this stuff. Like, just constantly bombarding you. Like, okay, I guess it's this guy's turn. Victor Davis Hanson, he's everywhere. Yeah, that's the guy I was talking about. Yeah. Gallivanting, playing games. Gallivanting. Well, I did get to play the British team. And I don't really care what team I made. I got to play Poppycock and the Shropshire Slasher. We did not do well. Let's put it that way. I didn't even come close to being the contender. He mostly wrote on Peloponnesian War, but really pushed the East versus West angle with it. Yeah, he's like all of a sudden he's all over them. He reminds me of somebody. I don't know who. Like I look at this guy and I thought he was an actor. You know his look. He looked like maybe like a cross between who's that guy that who's the guy with a French name who's not French? John Malkovich. Like a cross between John Malkovich and James Woods. He looks like a cross between John Malkovich and James Woods. I can't actually tell you that I've actually listened to him. It's just I've seen little clips, and I'm reading what he's saying, whatever, and I'm like the one that I saw, like the footage was just fucked. I doubt he approved it, or he wouldn't be much of a historian. You just go back to the Peloponnesian War, which is weird because Westerners here thought wearing skirts made you feminine, and now it's the Easterners that wear dresses. He comments on political tough stew. Tough stew is so annoying. He's the biggest proponent of the Orthodox view in hoplite warfare. He's the biggest proponent of the Orthodox view. I don't even know what view that is. Yeah, I don't want people's comments on politics. Unless you're gonna say, politics sucks for everybody. There's just a bunch of fucking liars, all of them. You think, oh, I like what that guy stands for. Well, he doesn't really stand for that. Well, then why is he out espousing that? Why is he running his mouth about it? You know? Orthodox view of... What did you just say? We're Westerners here. Oh, the Westerners there thought wearing skirts made you feminine, and now it's the Easterners that wear dresses. The Westerners there. The Westerners didn't wear fucking pants, right? Like the Spartans, manly men. You can go right now wearing fucking pants. Look, if I'm wearing one article of clothing, I'm going into battle, it's fucking underwear. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, you slide into first base and you're not wearing something there, it's going to get scabby. VDH is one of the biggest American defenders of the British Empire World War II. Rather than the usual, we done saved your butts you get from a lot of Americans. There are two major competing ideas about how hoplite phalanxes fought: the orthodox and the heretical. Okay, I can't comment on that. I can't comment on it. I don't know. I wouldn't know what I'm commenting on. Means the Greeks thought pants made you feminine. Yeah. Is it true that Alexander started shaving? He was that's kind of the culprit. He used to be the culprit. Like, yeah, he was the one that started shaving. Of course, people probably thought it made you feminine. I know there was probably some bearded women back then. Yeah, unfortunately, you have a lot of these people that always seem to have an agenda instead of just like genuinely curious about it, and like, okay, well, let's figure it out, right? Like I'm willing to change my opinion on things if what I've been taught is just complete bullshit. You know, I think the Greeks need to explain the pom pom shoes to me. That is the worst. That is not the worst thing of that uniform, by the way, but that is the worst uniform of anybody. Oh, they're elite troops. Fuck that. I'll be a commoner. Those guys, the FA zones or whatever. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That is the worst uniform of anybody. You got people that work at Disney World that have better uniforms than those guys. Yeah, the pom poms. Yeah, it's nothing says badass like pom poms, right? There are bearded women today. Look at George Stephanopoulos' sister. Well, she's Greek, right? Okay, now I gotta look it up. She's got a unibrow, doesn't she? Let's see. You're gonna make me type out Stephanopoulos. George Stephanopoulos. What's the polos sir part mean? Seems like it would be like a person of, because it's very common. Sister. Why are you looking at people's sisters? I'm like, that's not his sister. That's his daughter. Yep. You sure that's always been his sister? Whatever, man. I think it'd be a curse to be famous. But some people are just attention whores. I just want to do my hobby with people that are into the hobby. The pointy shoes they have in Mexico. I don't know what pointy shoes they have in Mexico. Really? Do you believe in ghosts? I don't. I believe in inanimate objects that don't behave properly. It's the bag of bags that fell down. In the Middle Ages, they would have had to burn the whole house down. Like, oh, shit. Could have a ghost here. Mexican pointy shoes, all right? Should be easy to find. Mexican pointy shoes. Better than those pointy hats they wear in Spain. Those things are creepy. Oh, yeah, what the fuck is that all about? Órale chingón. Yeah, that looks like something that. What are those fuckers that dress up as demons and play heavy metal stuff? Is it Guar? Not that I've ever listened to them, but yeah, that's a problem. Those shoes need to be circumcised. That's what you call a fucking pendejada right there. That's overcompensating for a lot of things. The bag of bags. Is that the deity of bags? Cowboy boots, a huge curvy points. Yeah, they're certainly not. Yeah, I can't say I've ever seen those Mexican pointy shoes, man. Wow. That's some crazy. That's some crazy shit. I've never seen them out in the wild. You got those in Texas or just in Mexico? They still look better than those damn Greek things with the pom poms. Nothing's worse than that. And the worst thing about it is, it's like they're supposed to be elite troops. So you're thinking, oh, okay, we dress these guys up just because they're a menace to society. They want to be ridiculed, right? F zones. There ain't a manly thing about his fucking uniform. See, what's the best thing about his uniform? You see him here in San Antonio. Wow, man. You should ask one of them. It's like, hey, what's up, SA, or whatever they like to be called in Texas? Jingong. Hey, what's up, Jingong? What's up with the long toes? They probably give you some kind of a weird answer that makes sense to them, but not to anybody else. Hey, what? Why do you got those boots with the long toes? Hey, man, use more boot. I had a guy I used to work with of the African American persuasion. Nice guy. I asked him, said, so why did what's up with all these like big cars? Why are they driving like Impalas and stuff? Now, I like Impala. I wouldn't want to drive an Impala, but Impalas are freaking great for gaslands. Love them. Got several of them. So what's up with these huge like boats? He just gave me a real simple answer. It's just more car. I'm like, okay. Now it is that. I don't know what the gas mileage on an Impala is, but the gas mileage on some of these muscle cars is disturbing. It's disturbing how bad the gas mileage is. Now, they got a 70-gallon tank, so you're like, man, they don't fill it any more often than anybody else. So yeah, well, when you fill it up, it takes, a whole tanker full. It's more car. I guess it is. I think this one's done. This is the Commander's one. That's the wow. It's got a lot more detail. This is a beautiful model. The one from Revell of Germany. And you got to be careful because Revell actually packaged some of these tanks with some of the infantry figures in a combined package. So it's this tank with like German infantry or whatever. I know I had one and I sold it on eBay a long time ago. Why'd even sell that? I don't think that I sold that many. I mean, like, probably one of those times like, I'm never going to do World War II again. Joke's on me. Be careful you don't say, hey, I'm never going to do this again, because you'll be doing it. Cut to the next scene, you're doing it. Let's go ahead and do the black lining on this guy as well. Now, this is a spectacularly beautiful model. Even though it's separate link track, which I don't have a problem with, but some people like freak out about. I don't know how most people put separate link track together, but when I got back into doing this a couple years ago, I'm like, I should build it over cardboard, right? Because it's not going to stick to the cardboard, and like it worked for me. I didn't really give it much thought. Nope, not stone. Dark. Here. Yeah, the only cars I really don't like for like gas signs, I don't like cars for, and in general, I don't like cars from the 1950s. I don't like 1950s cars. They're fucking ugly. You know? I mean, some of them were, you know, but the trucks aren't so bad. But like the cars, like the 57 Chevy with those, you know, cars with wings that don't fly, like, the Eisenhower cars, just don't care for them. That time period, just don't, you know. I should say American cars from the 50s. I don't know. I don't know. You can go to a store and find like foreign cars from the 50s. You probably can. I just can't think of any. So what is this guy? He's a big promoter of the British Empire. What? Let's see. One of the biggest American defenders of the British Empire in World War II, rather than the usual "we done saved your butts" you get from a lot of Americans. Well, I don't fall into the "we done saved your butts." You know, without Britain, how does Normandy happen? I mean, you have to have a launch pad close. I mean, it's a lot more difficult. I mean, for a small country, let's face it, the United Kingdom is a small country. I mean, it should have had a biggish, pretty big empire back then. They built a lot of shit in World War II, a lot of stuff. You're like, well, they didn't have very many tanks. Well, they built everything else. They built more planes. I found out the other day. They built more planes than the Germans did. Like, that's a fucking lot. That's a lot of planes. And I don't know how many aircraft the British lost, but they lost a lot less than the Germans did. Guaranteed. This was one book I was perusing through at this bookstore when I went up to Connecticut several years ago. And I pinpointed what it is on Amazon. I think one day I'll get a wild hair up my ass and get it. And it's a super cool book. It's called something like World War II in Charts or something like that. And it's all like Euler circles and freaking pie charts and just to kind of make, and it's not just that, but it has stuff next to it. It's really elegantly done and you can understand the concept succinctly. And there'll be like, one page is on like chemical weapons and the one's on bomb use and bombs dropped on people, airplanes produced by type. And it's just like, it's, it's really well done. Assuming the information in there is accurate, you know. Hey, it's been 80 fucking years. You would think that it would be freaking accurate, but, you never know. There's people with agendas that want to, have agendas. But it was a really cool book. But those type of discussions are usually outside the area that I'm really even interested in. The strategic type of, oh, the Russians could have beaten the Germans by themselves, or, they're just stuff that, I don't want to simulate that. Like, I'm not interested in playing games like, what is that, Hearts of Iron or whatever, like that type of advanced Third Reich or whatever type games. Just doesn't interest me. Be right back in 1 second. take my meds so I don't turn into a werewolf. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, this is really, really nice. Now, it took a hell of a lot longer to build than the Matchbox one. Now, I have a couple more Matchbox kits to do, but so I got stuff unbuilt. I've got in the garage just from the last convention. I've got a couple of Sherman jumbos that are they're not great castings, but they're $2 a piece, whatever. Two Sherman jumbos. I have an armored recovery vehicle for the Americans, the M32 or something like that. I think that's what it is. A Sherman Firefly from Matchbox. I have two Airfix Shermans because we need more of those. Three Matchbox Priests. I've never built a priest before. What else is out there? I couldn't remember whether I had trucks or not. I'm like, man, I thought I had some Airfix American trucks. I did. I think I actually finished them and built them. They're just not in my case. I was thinking about that the other day, man. So I got stuff I didn't know I had. I don't know where they are right now, but I'm pretty sure they're built. They might even be painted. I really need to get rid of them. I really need to move the buildings out of the case here. They're tying up two whole rows. So, talking about games, where this U-boat game shines is the first-person mode. It's a really cool experience to be waiting out a depth charge attack and fixing leaks at the bottom of the ocean in first person. Sounds boring to me, but I'll take your word for it. What, are you like literally playing Little Dutch Boy? How many different U-boats can you play? Can you only play a Type 7? Or can you play a Type 7 and a Type 9? That's really the only U-boats you need to play, right? You play a Type 2, a 7, and a 9. All the other one make-believe numbers, 27.35 with a snorkel and, like, I don't want to play a U-boat that doesn't have a deck gun. Like, oh, well, this is, it doesn't have a deck gun. I'm like, well, I don't want to play it. You fire your torpedoes and you go home. Like, no. You try to use your deck gun for as much stuff as you can. It's better when you don't even get attacked than a depth charge attack. It seems like it's a lot of rinse and repeat. I had this one guy that I used to play games with. He was into U-boat simulators. And he was, a nerd burglar of a type that, he would like, he wasn't like a mathematician or anything, but he's like, okay, he's here. I forget which one it was, which U-boat game it was that he was playing. Probably Aces of the Deep or something like that. Silent service, one of the silent services, whatever. I don't like, what I don't like about U-boats isn't the U-boat. The U-boats are cool, and they actually are really attractive looking, as a general rule. Submarines are attractive looking. But the problem is you basically have to play. It's like playing Splinter Cell. It's exactly like playing Splinter Cell. Is you got to sneak around and you can't be spotted. And if somebody spots you, you got to restart the mission. I know that's not how it is, but it's basically things go sideways, like really fast. So, you'd be here and you would spot this convoy here and he would like watch it and see where it was going and then do this whole end around to try to get in position to attack it. You have to balance, okay, how much battery power do you have left? You can't go on the surface because you could be spotted, so you have to get much battery power and then come up for, to recharge the batteries and it's like really without time compression. I'm like, oh my God, that's just like boring, But U-boats look good. So I see that game and I'm like, I don't want to play that stuff. I don't want to play a U-boat game because I've done it before. I played. God, I had that. What was that old one that was on the 286 or the 386? 688 attack sub. 688 attack sub was a modern one, and then we had a Gato or something like that, and then we had. Yeah, I've played several, but it just turns into that. And I want to hunt the big ships. Like I don't care about merchantmen. Well, that's how you get all the tonnage. I say, yeah, but I want to like hunt the big ship and like, okay, I'm like, I want to hunt like where Musashi is or something like that. I want to sink battleships, not unnamed transports and stuff like that. And I haven't played any of the modern ones. I mean, you used to play Aces of the Deep, and it came with a whole fucking map of the whole North Atlantic with little boxes. Who was that? Was that a Lucasfilm game? I don't know. Those games back then in the late '90s or maybe even mid '90s were really really high production value. The stuff they had on them. Dynamics. That's who it is. All the Dynamics games. Yeah. Aces over the Pacific. Aces over Europe. Lucasfilm was like Wings of the Luftwaffe, right? Secret Weapons of the Luftwaffe, whatever that Swaddle, whatever the hell that was. The first person mode makes the game for me, and no, you aren't little Dutch boy manually fixing stuff. You have a crew for that. I'll take your word for it. Well, sounds like it's something different. It's not another game, so. I'm just saying, if I'm in a U-boat, I'm playing a U-boat simulator, I'm going to Scapa Flow. I'm going to go hang out there. I'm going to go hang out, a couple miles off Scapa Flow. Wait to see what shows up in front of my torpedo tubes. Or, Liverpool or somewhere, Southampton. Somewhere it's like there's going to be some big ships could possibly move out of there. Like, that's what we're going after. Nothing smaller than a cruiser. Cruisers and up. That'd also be the person that's like, all right, well, I'm I'm hanging out there. It's like, oh, there's a British cruiser. Oh, it's a heavy cruiser with 3 turrets. Oh, okay, it's got to be York and Exeter. Wait a second. It's December of 1939. It can't be Exeter because she's all the way in the fucking Falklands screwing with Graf Spee. York doesn't look like that because it was built differently, So I mean, I can't be pleased, I just need to just stay away that kind of game. I'm just like, too much to enjoy it. Array on Scapa Flow is a mission. Yeah, well, I don't want to go in like Gunther Bryan. I don't want to go into Scapa Flow. That's sadistic. Block ships and. The one game I did play on my phone and is not available anymore. What was the first phone I played on my Note? On my Note 2 was Atlantic Fleet? Atlantic Fleet? By that Killer Fish Games or whatever the hell it was. And they have it for the PC too, but that game is cool and that you get to range estimate in the game. Now it's turn based, so you do your little move, your ship does, and then you hop from ship to ship like it does its move, and then you get your firing phase. So you get to see where it was. You can kind of calculate where it's going to be. I don't think you have to worry too much about left to right, just like distance, how close it's going to be. So there's that fun aspect of that. That was a cool challenge. I didn't play it on the PC. I played it on the phone. Looked pretty damn good on the phone. The only thing I didn't like it is everything basically had a rate of fire of the same. So regardless of the distance you were at, regardless of the rate of fire of the weapon, they all fired one salvo. Well, that makes battleships really unbalancing because you basically they fire the same speed as cruisers. Now, somebody told me or I heard through the grapevine that somehow that's factored in. It's like destroyers, they might only fire one round, but their effectiveness is significantly more. I don't know if I buy that or not. I haven't done any, but on the surface, it looks like that's lacking. But the game looks really good, and it's challenging. I played a lot. I did play it a lot, and it's challenging from the standpoint of like you're trying to figure out like here's your estimate of what range they're at. Like was it right? I don't know. He probably moved a little bit closer. I moved a little bit closer. So there's a little bit of the that range estimating type thing. But it's like stop. Like your turn, everything like stops. You plug in, you fire, and then it lands or not. And I felt like it was pretty realistic in that respect. It just didn't handle submarines really well. It was like you have too much information as submarines. And aircraft are kind of hokey. But the surface ship stuff was, I thought, pretty solid. So you could do, and there's a lot of scenarios in it. It's just Atlantic, so it's just British and Germans. And you can do Scharnhorst and Gneisenau against the Glorious and the two destroyers. You could do, obviously the Battle of Denmark Strait, the Straits, the River Plate. The one that was really challenging was and interesting is the final battle with the Scharnhorst. And I actually won it one time with the Germans. I didn't come back unscathed. I mean, I'm like holding on by ribbons, but you basically you got three British cruisers in one direction, and you got the battleship with destroyers in the other direction. So it's like, do you go after the cruisers and neutralize her or turn the battleship, or do you do the other way around? They're on both ends, so they've got you penned in, and it's dark. It's at night, and it was interesting. I mean, it took like 12 or 14 tries to win with it. Of course, the final battle with Bismarck, you can't win that one. I mean, it's just you're hosed. You're hosed no matter what. Although I don't think there was any mechanics for the Bismarck not being able to turn its rudder. I think it just like appears and you're facing down Rodney, King George V, and what else is there? Sheffield is there. I think Sheffield's there and Dorsetshire's there. Yeah, so you're like penned in from every direction. Like you got to get lucky, get a magazine explosion on like Rodney, and then have enough of you left over to try to take on everything else, and it's difficult. It's difficult. But it's a good looking game. It's a good looking game on the phone. They stopped supporting it on the phones. It's one of those things that like I bought, but like I can't get it again. It's like it's not even in the store anymore, I don't think. I'm pretty sure. Um, I believe it's called Atlantic Fleet. Yep, it's not even on here anymore. But it was a calming game because you could just like, it wasn't like you were being stressed out. You had time to think about what you were doing. Isn't that annoying to buy a game and then you can't play it anymore? Guess what you get for buying a game on a phone, but I got it at a time when I didn't have a computer. I had my phone and no computer. way back when I played great naval battles on North Atlantic. And you like run out of ammo. Like you basically have like doing some raid with like Scharnhorst and Eisenhower or something like that in a campaign. You come across some destroyers, and like you're like, all right, well, we're not going to get torpedoed. You know, that's the whole point. We're not going to get torpedoed by this fucking destroyer, right? So you'd play the keep away thing while you're hosing. You could run out of ammo before you ever sunk a destroyer. Like, that's a problem. Like, you got to cancel everything because you ran out of ammo. Got to go back to base, out of ammo, trying to encounter a destroyer. Yeah, we unloaded everything on it, and it's better than getting torpedoed. I grew up playing naval games, and there was nothing better than torpedoing a big ship with a destroyer. So I'm like, I don't want to have that happen to me. Like, it was so satisfying. I want to make sure the other guy doesn't get the satisfaction of doing that. So we'll do anything but that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to stop to eat something. I'm so effing starving. Yeah. All right, well, this is where we're gonna stop. So thanks for coming by again, folks.